next guest is one of our favorites here on the Common Sense Club. He certainly fared well in the primary in our great states of North Dakota and Minnesota, candidate for the Republican nomination for President of the United States, as we all well remember, and quite a spirited primary. Served in the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate all the way from 91 to 2007, and founder of Patriot Voices, a grassroots community committed to promoting faith, family, freedom, and opportunity. He's written a book now called American Patriots, Answering the Call to Freedom, highlighting some of those citizen patriots all across the USA, and had planned a little bit of a book tour over the next couple of days in Pennsylvania, but it's now a radio book tour because of that weather known as Hurricane Sandy hitting the ground. Our pal Rick Santorum back on the Common Sense Club. Senator, how are you?
I am doing great. Great talking to my dear friends in North Dakota and Minnesota, and boy, I'm hearing all this good word about Minnesota maybe being in play here in this next week. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I don't think there's any question. Look at Wisconsin, 14-point win for Barack Obama in 2008, dead heat there now, and just all the momentum is on Romney's side. Same thing in your home state of Pennsylvania, right?
No question about it. I mean, it's really presented quite a conundrum for Obama because to compete in Pennsylvania as far as going up on advertising is at least $1 million, $1.5 million a week if you want to run any kind of serious advertising. That's a big chunk of change, and again, it's so late for them to try to jump in. I know candidates, some of the super PACs and outside groups are now running ads. I saw one group, a pro-Romney group, putting in $500,000 in the Philadelphia media market, which is a pretty decent buy, and you're starting to see, I think the numbers in Pennsylvania are real. He's no question, within a handful of points. And if this hurricane does what it may do, particularly to the eastern part of the state, Philadelphia and its surrounding areas are the most Democratic part of the state, and it's the area that Obama has to win and win big. And who knows? This hurricane could cause all sorts of damage and power outings for a prolonged period of time that may have an impact on the election when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and by the way, wow, this is tough to watch because certainly our thoughts and prayers go into all those folks in the path of Hurricane Sandy, and I know the storm surge is whacking New York City
already.
Pretty good.
That's amazing because it's still way out at sea, and already it's having a big impact. And I can tell you, I'm here right outside of, about 25 miles outside of Washington, D.C., and it's been raining here for about 18 hours, and the wind's just starting to pick up right now, and they're saying 50 to 70-mile-an-hour winds as far inland as where we are.
Yeah, 8 days till an election, does that have an impact?
I don't think there's any question. Look, when power outages are out, here, there's just so many trees here. All up and down the East Coast, it's a little different than out in the Midwest. The forests are thick here, and the roads are lined with trees, and the power lines are not below ground, they're above ground. And you can have a power outage here for really 2 weeks and not really be anything of that big of a deal. It takes that long because there's so many lines that are down, and there's so many trees, and it can take a week or two for even not just for everybody to get back, but for large segments of the population to get it back. That's assuming the storm is as bad as what they're predicting it's going to be.
So give me your sense of this race. What's going on here? Is there something significant? I was in Denver last week and was out at Red Rocks, just happened to be there for a Bakken conference, and Paul Ryan and Mitt Romney were in town together, and they were out at Red Rocks, and I thought, I'm going to go see what this swing state stuff is like here. And, there was...
People showed up, I see.
Oh, my gosh. They gave out 25,000 tickets. It was amazing to see because, for one, the event started at 7 at night. I thought, well, I'm going to get there plenty early, so I'm over there about 4:30 trying to get set up for some interviews and stuff ahead of time. And there was total gridlock at 4:30 in the afternoon trying to get into this place to the point where people just started pulling over and walking like 1 and 2 miles to get into this, and they ended up turning a bunch of people away. And I thought, unbelievable. And there's obviously a swing state that was an Obama state last time. So what's going on here at the 11th hour, do you think?
Well, okay, I think a couple of things. First off, Mitt Romney's done a heck of a job at these debates, and particularly the first debate. I think there was a clear difference between the candidates. You saw a situation where, for the longest time, and you're seeing it now again in the media, where they hide who Barack Obama really is, and they try to distort who Mitt Romney is. And the debates gave the American public a chance to see both candidates unfiltered by the media, in spite of all the moderators trying to help Obama. He couldn't be helped that much. And the fact is, he has done a very poor job in handling this economy. He's done even a worse job overseas. And I think Romney just looked like the competent guy that we need, who has a strong vision to how to get this economy going. And I think that's made all the difference. You're seeing this race move. Let's put it this way. If I were Obama, if I had a chance to be either Obama or Romney at this point, I'd take Romney. I think the momentum's on his side. The intensity is without question. People see the disaster that Barack Obama has been to this country, and the one I got to tell you, and I know you wanted to talk about this, is the thing that upsets me even more. I knew the media was bad. I knew they were in the tank, but I have never seen a case of media malpractice as bad as I have seen in these last week and a half or 2 weeks now with this Benghazi incident. It is unbelievable, the kind of malpractice that is being practiced by the media. And on top of that, now the more and more information comes out, the unbelievably callous disregard for our men and women in uniform and our ambassador that the president and his people had when this incident was going on, and then an egregious cover-up of what they knew and when they knew it. It is a story that I think we will look back at, and no matter what happens in this election, and see the press for what it really is, which is a tool of the left in America.
No, it's been amazing. New York Times, prime example. A lot of the mainstream organs just totally punting on it. And shoe on the other foot, if there'd been a Republican president, this would be 24/7. But I tell you what, I was
lead editorials calling for impeachment.
I was extraordinarily disappointed that Mitt Romney didn't, handle it a little bit better in the town hall debate, and then, when there was a foreign policy debate, take it. Why do you think he chose to pass, asking some real pointed questions? Because he's got the pulpit right now. I mean, if he were raising this issue, it would be getting more traction in the media. Why is he not?
That's a great question, and I think it comes down to what the strategy for Mitt Romney has been from day one. I give him credit for being a very focused candidate, and the focus has been this race is going to be won or lost on the economy. That's what he believes, and that's what he's sticking to. And he's not varying his message at all. He's staying on it, and he thinks that's going to be the winner. And look, you beat me, so I can't fault his judgment. If that's what he thinks is going to carry the day, then that's what he's sticking with.
It clearly was a strategy there, though, right? Just to not go there at the last debate, yeah.
No, I mean, they had plenty of opportunities, in my opinion, to strike some very devastating blows against Barack Obama, and could continue to be doing so today, and they had chosen not to do so, and I frankly don't understand why, but that's not my call.
I did see a new poll over the weekend that his favorability is dropping. There's a number of things. So maybe, and I don't know what to read into that, if that's catching up with him or what. We're going to take a quick break, come back with more with Rick Santorum, talk a little bit about some of the heroes he highlights in the book, American Patriots Answering the Call to Freedom. Real inspirational book. Do that after a short time out on the Common Sense Club and the Scott Ian Show, and talk some more about this race. 8 days until the big day as the countdown is on with Rick Santorum on the Common Sense Club. Don't go away, friends. Back on the Common Sense Club at the Scott Ian Show, a chat with Rick Santorum, who's written the book American Patriots, Answering the Call to Freedom. I want to talk a little bit about that book and all the folks you've met along the campaign trail before we let you go here. Listener Joe has a question, says, I know that Rick has had to deal with the Romney presidential campaign and appear to be in the fold, but he seemed to allude in the last primary debates that Mr. Romney ran a nasty campaign. Are there specifics or differences between your campaign and Romney's during the primary run? And also, what would you never do that he has done in his campaigns?
Well, obviously there were differences between us in the primary. We tried to, illuminate those. And, the biggest one was, on the issue of health care. And, again, Governor Romney has stayed focused on the economy, and I think the difference on our campaign, we would have talked more about health care. We'd have talked more about national security. We would have gone at President Obama on a variety of different fronts. But that's not to say that what Governor Romney's doing isn't the best way to do it. I mean, he can make the argument, and I think they are making the argument, that the American public cares more about what's going on in the economy than they care about any other issue, and that's what we're going to make this race a referendum on, and we're not going to get distracted with anything else. So, again, it would have been a very different campaign, I think, had we gotten involved. But you know what? He may be running the smarter campaign in the end, and certainly if he wins, you can't fault him for what he's doing.
You know, I think the big thing with conservatives and Mitt Romney was a trust factor. What can you trust him? And I don't know about other folks, but I took a great deal of comfort from the fact that you shortly after dropping out of this race had a heart-to-heart with him and really came back with a sense that on the key issues for those of us that put faith and family and these issues first and foremost, in the vote that he was sincere about this, and you still believe that, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this race, he really, Governor Romney really hasn't backed away from anything he said during the primary. I mean, I was very concerned. Remember, I carried that Etch-a-Sketch around for a while because of the comments that one of his senior campaign guys said that that they would sort of rewrite their agenda for the general election, and that was a big concern of mine. But he made it clear to me that was not going to be the case, that they were going to run as they had run for the past 3 years when they were running in the Republican primary, and I can say that he has. Now, he's emphasized his more moderate tones, but it's not like they're new. I mean, these were things that were differentiators between Mitt and the other candidates in the race in the primary. He's now highlighted into what he believes his advantage in appealing to more moderate voters in the general election, and in fact, that was one of the points he made in the primary, that he is a little bit more moderate. He's a conservative, but he's a little bit more moderate on a few issues, like not cutting taxes for higher income individuals and limiting deductions for high income individuals, and doing some other things that he believes would blunt Obama's attacks, and I think he's used them effectively in the campaign.
Doug wants to know what it will take to turn Pennsylvania to Romney.
I think it's moving his way right now, only because there hasn't been much of a campaign. And I mean, I hate to dwell on the political aspect of what could be a devastating, horrible event of Hurricane Sandy, but the impact on southeastern Pennsylvania, which is where this thing is barreling right toward. It's going to go through New Jersey and right into Pennsylvania and up the Delaware River. This could have a huge impact on the Pennsylvania primary. Turnout in the city of Philadelphia. Just to give you an idea, if President Obama wants to win Pennsylvania, he's probably going to have to carry Philadelphia by 400,000 votes, which means he's going to have to get somewhere between 80 to 85% of the vote in the city of Philadelphia. Now, that tells you, I mean, that turnout is everything, because he's going to get 80% of the vote at least in the city of Philadelphia. The question is, can they amp up the numbers to get to 400,000? And if power outages and there's all sorts of problems, debris, et cetera, it's going to be hard.
Let me talk a little bit about your book. One thing I don't think we spend enough time in politics in America is pursuing the unsung heroic men and women that were part of our Constitution or part of the Revolutionary War, and you do an extraordinary job in this book of highlighting ordinary citizens who, like us today, stand for things like life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. And talk a little bit about how you decided to highlight who you decided to highlight here.
Well, it was really I was inspired by meeting people on the campaign trail, in North Dakota, in Minnesota, and all sorts of places around this country where I had the privilege to campaign, and I was just really inspired that people were giving up their time and treasure to fight for what they knew was a consequential time in our country's history. And I think this election is one of the most consequential, not the most consequential in our country's history. We're on the precipice, and so when I left the campaign, I thought, how can I do two things? Number one, remind us who we are, because that was part of what the campaign was about. America founding principles and what we believe and who we are as Americans, which I always said is embodied in the Declaration of Independence. So the book is about the Declaration, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, describes those values and what they mean, and describing sort of the soul of America. And then I write little biographies of 25 people who were ordinary citizens, like the people I met on the campaign trail, who did extraordinary things at the time of the revolution. Sometimes one thing. It was what we need right now is people to step up when your country needs you. And maybe it's just one thing. Maybe it's just voting. Maybe it's getting your friend to vote with you or change a vote or two. It's not the heroic things that our Revolutionary War heroes did to win freedom from Great Britain, but this is the different kind. This is the more mundane but vitally important, which is the everyday preserving freedom for the next generation. And this election, I hope we can inspire people in this election to do some extraordinary things to maintain our freedom.
And that was certainly a very important part of your campaign, wasn't it? I mean, you connected those dots between our founders and these citizen patriots and really, reinvigorated and energized a lot of folks to come back to the political process that are going to play a big, important role in who's the next president of the United States come November.
Well, I certainly hope so, and that's what this book, and I actually have a movie that I also worked on with Citizens United called Our Sacred Honor, and it does the same thing. It's again, focuses on the Constitution, the Declaration, and in who we are as a country, and some of the struggles that we had. We compare the French Revolution to the American Revolution, and how the French model has really become the European model, and the American model stands alone. As America is the only one who's been an adopter of it, and of course we've been alone in our tremendous success as a result of that. So I'm doing my best, not just for this election, but this book and the movie and the things I'm working on are going to be a long-term project to try to reinstill those founding principles into America, educate Americans as to who we are and what we believe in, and that America is not, as I've said many times, not a race, it's not an ethnicity. It's a set of values and principles, and if we change those values and principles as to who we are, then we really fundamentally change what America is. And I'm not too sure that after 240 years of tremendous success, we want to really do that.
America's greatness is not an accident, and these stories certainly give us lots of reminders of the extraordinary faith and courage and determination that put us on the right path. It's a great book, American Patriots, Answering the Call to Freedom, Rick Santorum. Always a pleasure, my friend, and our thoughts and prayers with everyone in Pennsylvania and the Eastern Seaboard there through a difficult time, and thanks for all the help you're doing and getting this country back on the right track. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Scott. God bless. Bye-bye.
God bless you and the entire Santorum family and team of American Patriots.